I'm continuing my playthrough of Seven Pines from the Civil War Brigade series, and we're up to turn 5 now. That's the 3 o'clock turn on the first day, 3 p.m. on May 31st, 1862. And in this picture, I'm giving kind of an overview of what's happening in most of the areas of this battle. And this picture kind of shows one of the things that I love about Civil War Brigade series is how the battle develops through maneuver into a somewhat of a set piece battle. So what we're seeing here is General Smith's left wing, and that is on the top left-hand side there coming in. You can see he's the zero-rated leader in the kind of the left center of the picture, and he's moved troops in and actually planted himself or his brigade at Fair Oaks Station. That is one of the victory locations, and we can see it's a very important crossroad here, as well as a railroad running right through that station. And then from the northeast, we see the Union with General Sumner and the Second Corps coming into the battlefield, and you can see his intention is going to be to hit the Fair Oaks Station from the northeast, at least relatively speaking from the map. So that will be a very interesting thing to watch as that happens. And then we see Keyes. He's in the right center of the picture on the bottom, and he's the zero-rated Union leader, the 4 Corps commander there, and he's got troops defending Seven Pines, but he's got a forward force from the 4th Corps with Casey in the redoubt, and he's got Couch in redoubt 2, Casey's in redoubt 3 and 4, trying to prevent D.H. Hill from getting in there and capturing Seven Pines, because those are the two main objectives here. So that's basically what's going on turn 5. And we'll take a look now at turn 6, which is the 3:30 p.m. turn. So one of the things we were looking forward to it on the 3:30 turn is Longstreet was going to be getting his orders from Johnston via an aide-de-camp arriving. And these orders are basically telling him to advance to the south and cut across the Portuguese road and strike the Union flank at Seven Pines. You get D.H. Hill in a frontal attack there, and now you're going to have Longstreet hitting the flank. And so he ends up getting a delay, and he's going to need a 1 to implement it. So in this game, the Johnston's a 1 and Longstreet has got a bad rating also. So it's not surprising you get he's going to need a die roll of a 1 to start implementing the orders. So that was the biggest news here. Huger is continuing to wander up the Portuguese road, and his job is to capture that intersection. So I ended up deciding to have General Johnston issue a new order to Huger's division to now attack the Union southern flank at Seven Pines. So these orders are written orders, so they're going to be a little bit clearer, and they're going to be hand-delivered by an aide, but they're not going to arrive till 5:30 p.m. due to the long distance that the courier has to travel to get to this guy. But that's basically what we have happening. Now in the picture, we have Sumner's Second Corps is on the top center of the picture coming down the road. It looks like from the north toward Fair Oaks Station. And you see his lead unit is the 2nd Division of the Second Corps, commanded by Sedgwick. But Sumner is right in his rear there, and they're already into the Meadow Road intersection and Adams Place, and they're going to be hitting Whiting right in the side, in the flank there. So that will be an interesting thing to watch to see what happens. But the Confederates were able to manage to capture Fair Oaks Station because Smith got out of delay really quickly with a lucky die roll. But that brings turn 6 to a conclusion. So turn 7 is the 4 o'clock turn on May 31st of 1862, and it's starting to get later in the day, and Smith's wing has now captured Fair Oaks Station, which was part of his orders, but those orders were issued at the beginning of the game, and they had a second phase, which was to support D.H. Hill's attack on Seven Pines. But in this case, Smith kind of hears the enemy troops marching from Meadow Road to the north, so he is able to have a small contingency attempt to protect the northern flank because it is still in his command radius there. General Longstreet is still sitting on his orders at Hugh Tavern, and he's got to roll for delay reduction, and he ends up rolling a 1, which is what he needed. So it actually worked out really good for him. And so he's going to take a nice evening ride out and support the attack on Seven Pines by committing to that flank attack. So the right wing, he limbers the artillery, and they join Kemper's men on the road, and Longstreet and all of his aides pack up and move the supply wagon toward the Chickahominy. I'm now going to skip ahead here and look at the fighting going on at Fair Oaks Station. These guys are really getting into it. In fact, Nagley's brigade is right into it against Whiting. And I mean, they're in close fire range, and even though there's woods, because they're adjacent, they can see each other. So this is Casey's division. He's flanked by Couch, who's got control of the redoubt number 4 there. But that's where we're seeing some fighting here, and this type of fighting is going to possibly trigger Smith into a corps attack stoppage. We'll have to wait and see, but that's what the Union wants to do, and because he's a 0 leader, that could well happen, especially when Sedgwick gets in here and starts firing on him. So we're now on to turn 8. It's 4:30, May 31st, 1862, and General Huger is... He hears the fighting north of the Portuguese Road, but he just assumes it's artillery exchanges, and he's in delay still, so he's kind of sitting around. Longstreet gets his people moving in his headquarters, passes Dr. Hunter's place, and then he takes a fork onto the Portuguese Road with Anderson's division close behind, along with Longstreet's right-wing artillery. But the fighting continues. I'm going to just look at this picture here from this turn, and we have General Kearny's 3rd Division, and he is right in the center toward the bottom. He's that division there, and he's the 4-rated division leader. And he's just south of the Williamsburg Road here, and then you've got Couch on his right flank, and then Casey on Couch's right flank. And they're kind of holding this main position because Heinzelman is... at the bottom right, he's the 3rd Corps commander, but he's actually the Army commander for this battle. And he is at Seven Pines. That is where the Confederates are going, and that is what the Union is trying to defend. And what's happening here now is that Casey's division is receiving fire from Whiting's division in the woods near Fair Oaks. And the 2nd Corps is still trying to get deployed. They're at the very top of the picture, off the picture mostly. This is Sedgwick and Richardson from Sumter's 2nd Corps. And once they start firing, that will take a little bit of pressure off Casey. Now we go to turn 9, and... it's 5 o'clock p.m., and the Longstreet is still working on his flank attack, and he arrives at the junction of Portuguese Road and the road just north to Seven Pines. Huger doesn't have orders yet. They're still on horseback trying to get to him. Meanwhile, we'll look at this picture here. You can see at the top you've got, I think that's Magruder and Richardson are leading the point for the Second Corps, and they're now in small arms fire range with Hatton's brigade, and they're taking some fire back and forth there. But Smith now has to give attention to the fact that he is getting hit on the flank at Fair Oaks Station. And so that's is doing what we thought it would do. It's relieving some of the pressure here on Casey's division and Couch's division. So that is kind of what we wanted. The Union Army continues to hold its position on the Williamsburg Road against D.H. Hill. And the Confederate left wing is holding their position in the north well at Fair Oaks Station. And despite being in a little bit of small arms range, the Second Corps is having difficulty deploying. And part of this is because of the movement penalties because of the rain the night before. We now go to turn 10. It's 5:30 p.m. on May 31st, and Huger gets his orders finally to join this attack on the Union right towards Seven Pines. But, he rolls for a delay, and the delay is not a bad one. It's a 1 or a 2 on a D6 to implement the orders, so he will likely get into the fray soon enough. And Longstreet is continuing his advance along the southern flank, and he crosses a small stream and is about halfway through the woods, so he's still going to take a while to get into position. We'll take a look at what is shown in the photo here, where the U.S. Second Corps is in the top center. This is Sumner, and he has got Richardson and Sedgwick, our 2 divisions under his command. And we also can see up there, just south of the Adams House, we have some Second Corps artillery, but it is still limbered, so it's not able to fire at this point, but it's going to be useful probably later on. And then we've got in the middle, you've got Whiting's division, and he has got underneath him, he has Hood's brigade, and these guys are fighting a little bit south of Fair Oaks Station to try to defend that territory that they've captured along that railroad. And we have 3 Union brigades that are in contact with Whiting and Hood, and over to the left, that part of the picture is a little bit blurry, but you have D.H. Hill along the Williamsburg Road, and he hasn't made much progress towards Seven Pines. He's kind of going cautiously because the Union had the redoubts there, and actually still Barry is still in the redoubt number 3. So it's going to cause him a little bit of difficulty getting through. Anyway, that brings turn number 10 to a close, and I thank you for watching, and stay tuned if you would like to see more on how this battle unfolds.